The time had come for humanity and immortals to work together, to defeat Lord Tongtian after years of animosity. Are all parties prepared for this? It would appear so, given that General Lei did not think twice to stab himself with his spear, in order to preserve humanity. The populace gathers a massive army to battle Emperor Zhou and the entire Shang dynasty, because they are sick of his tyranny. Jiang Ziya, the elder, chooses to employ the immortal scroll's strength to do this. If the might of immortals wanes, and the elder begins the rite of opening a magic scroll, General Deng Chanyu is given the assignment of destroying the heavenly altar. Behind Jiang Ziya's back, his sworn adversaries, the elders, emerge, and a ferocious battle ensues starts between the combatants. However, the Shang dynasty minister, Shen Gongbao, entangles the youngster in a web of black tentacles, and throws him to the ground with the intention of stealing the scroll. His devoted soldier rushes to his assistance. The adversary dynasty's representatives engage in a protracted battle, but Jiang Ziya changes into silver smoke and flees. While pleading with his soldiers for assistance, when the elders notice the scroll slipping away, they send a magical elephant fighter and a large army into combat with the giant, and Jiang Ziya commands the angel Lan Zhenzi to destroy the heavenly altar. As the giant confronts them both, a panther attacks the elderly guy out of nowhere, but Deng Chanyu is able to save him. The Shang dynasty is surrounding the counselor on all sides, and all of the old man's warriors are magically imprisoned. Even if General Angel Lan manages to let his buddies free, Shen Gongbao eventually succeeds in taking the document, with the names of all the immortals. The warriors watch an army suffering in the distance and recognize that their sacrifices were in vain since, once the villains have the scroll, they would be able to subjugate the entire globe. A warrior presents the general with one of his injured soldiers and informs him that Shen Gongbao, who is attempting to sow animosity between mortals and immortals, must now be prepared for battle. The city, which the tyrant Zhou has left only in ashes and ruin, welcomes the warrior Nezha. In the meantime, Jiang Ziya discovers the boy there and invites him to take part in the conflict with the despised kingdom. At this point, the evil emperor personally takes the accolades and rejoices in his impending victory with the help of lovely dancers. Warrior Lei, who has assumed the persona of an average man, is devastated by his defeat in battle, and feels guilty for the deaths of his colleagues. However, Deng Chanyu urges the young man to gather himself and exact revenge on the evil Shen Gongbao by freeing the world from him. Shen Gongbao informs his master that he has the scroll, but they are unable to open the seal, because the divine altar has been destroyed. Reminding him that he is only a piece in his dark realm, Lord Tongtian gives his henchmen instructions on how to handle the situation. Yang Jiang burns everyone who could not be saved, after examining the remains of the victims. As she watches, Deng Chanyu confides in her master that she doesn't trust the man, to which the warlord responds that they are at a loss for words and that it is imperative that mortals and immortals band together to fight Shen Gongbao. Deng Chanyu reveals his distaste for Yang Jiang, despite his mentor's warning, and he seeks to find out from Lan why this is the case. The fighter is in a meeting at Jiang Ziya's headquarters, with the intention of speaking with General Deng. The elderly man pleads with everyone once again to band together, because all mortal men might perish. If Shen Gongbao manages to shatter the seal, the stone dragon can now open the seal on the scroll, and reveal the names of all immortals, so the nasty old man takes it to him. The old guy is not going to give up lightly, and he once more summons the panther to protect the manuscript. According to Yang Jiang, who emerges behind Shen Gong, the panther tucks his tail and moves aside, when General Angel Lan shows up, leaving the elderly man to cope with the adversaries alone. When he uses his magic wand, Lei immediately loses his superpower and falls to the ground, like any other man. The boys appear to have a decent chance of obtaining the scroll, when Nezha, another of Jiang Ziya's men, comes to his help, but suddenly, black clouds collect above them from which fire rays detonate. The elderly man laughs as he grabs the scroll, sure he has broken the seal, but the writing is once more unresponsive. The entire group exchanges perplexed glances, before abruptly being confronted by a new immortal, the dwarf Tu Shin Song. The warriors recognize they should chase after the boy, but Lei shakes his hands to energize him, promising no chase. There are now 3 people simultaneously vying for control of the artifact, as Tu Jia Song effortlessly ties up old Shen Gongbao, and demands he hand over the scroll of the coronation of the immortals to him. Nezha and the dwarf begin to argue, but Yang Jiang swiftly separates the men and offers to talk and compromise. While in captivity, Shen Gongbao tries to persuade his old friend that something is wrong because the seal has been broken, but they still haven't become gods, and don't have the list of all the immortals. The antagonist asserts that this is the entire plan, by those who wish to exterminate the immortals. Jiang Ziya collects his soldiers and informs them that the issue is the damaged altar. The seal's failure was insufficient. The villains need to create a new altar, in order to unlock the gates of heaven. The elderly man examines the diagram and recognizes that the Shang dynasty is after the human world, and that it may soon be extinct, the teacher lets the dwarf stay with them. Nezha and the dwarf begin to argue, but Yang Jiang swiftly separates the men and offers to talk and compromise. While in captivity, Shen Gongbao tries to persuade his old friend that something is wrong because the seal has been broken, but they still haven't become gods, and don't have the list of all the immortals. The antagonist asserts that this is the entire plan, by those who wish to exterminate the immortals. Jiang Ziya collects his soldiers and informs them that the issue is the damaged altar, the seal's failure was insufficient. The villains need to create a new altar, in order to unlock the gates of heaven. The elderly man examines the diagram and recognizes that the Shang dynasty is after the human world, and that it may soon be extinct. The teacher lets the dwarf stay with them, but reminds him of the regulations and how the thief must put the scroll back, while acting as though he didn't mean to take it. Nezha attempts to break Shen Gongbao's staff, but nothing happens, and Lan just feels pain from the sound. Nezha worries that they would never be able to beat the baddies in this fashion, which leads to a fight amongst the friends as a result. General Deng Chanyu, tasked with protecting the common people, smiles as he witnesses them enjoying the food they brought, that they now must activate the scroll to seal all immortals. When Yang Jiang hears this, he realizes Jiang Ziya wants to sacrifice them. In order to defeat the evil Zhou, a huge enemy elephant comes into the camp, and destroys everything in its path. While the group is debating who is right and who is wrong, a battle breaks out in the camp. Just after the leader of the Shang Empire exits the gate, and hundreds of men are once more killed, the tyrant orders the massacre of all people. As the city is in upheaval, To Sing Song rushes to locate a quiet area, but instead he is captured by Shen Gongbao, who broke out of the prison. The old guy leaves after getting his magical sword, sure that he has now won. Jiang Ziya witnesses Huan Tang Hua being held captive, and is forced to hand over the scroll in order to free the man. After achieving his objectives, the evil army vanishes, but Tang Hua still passes away in Tu Sing Song's arms. In accordance with all of the traditional Chinese laws, the old man gathers the survivors, and they bury the men. Even the most courageous and powerful men become self-conscious in the presence of it. General Lei wakes up in the meantime. Somewhere in the ocean, Shen Gongbao carries a scroll to the new altar, in preparation for opening the gates of heaven, while the boys' pals evaluate their defeats and assess their chances of success. General Lan resolves to take on his demonic persona with a wound. After becoming tormented once more by his inability to defeat his foe, he does this after spotting a spear on the shore. All of the immortals have departed Jiang Ziya's camp, and Jiang Ziya surmises that they have located Shen Gongbao. The superhero team does identify the bad guy, and they are preparing to launch an assault to seize the scroll, and stop him from unlocking the heavenly gates. Lord Tongtian and his men come to Earth to acquire power, but Shen Gongbao opened a portal too late. The populace must immediately take cover to avoid the pogrom. The villain is launching at their heads. Yang Jiang and his companions attempt to defend the populace, and the man even makes an attempt to escape using a magical shield, but when a hell dragon emerges from the ominous clouds, the fighter understands that he is powerless against it. To Si Sung almost becomes the dragon's meal, as he puts a burning rope into the serpent's mouth. While Nezha tries to entice it away, the warriors attack the monster collectively, breaking it into a great number of pieces. They recognize they can win if they work together as they stand facing each other. Lord Tongtian calls in his entire army in response to this, but Yang Jiang remains unshaken, and instructs his friends to be ready for the visitors. Time for a challenging conflict. Shen Gongbao activates a scroll in the interim, revealing a list of immortals who, in accordance with the villain's scheme, will arrive to wipe off the mortals. Tongtian makes it apparent that he has changed his mind and no longer needs the servant's services, as well as the entire human race, and the old man reminds the Lord that he promised him a kingdom of men as thanks. As the evil lord opens more portals, immortal warriors are let loose to kill the populace. The little squad is unable to handle so many foes, so they prepare to accept their fate. However, surprisingly, help arrives in the form of immortal mercenaries of Emperor Zhou, who refuse to serve the dictator, and unite with their old foes to preserve their home. The conflict goes on, but now Lord Tongtian's army is defeated. A black panther suddenly appears, and Deng Chanyu resolves to deal with it on her own, in order to keep his friends occupied. This turns out to be a trap. The panther takes Deng Chanyu directly into Shen Gongbao's hands, but neighborhood kids save the girl, and capture the elderly man. Shen Gongbao, a villain, instructs his enemies on how to defeat Lord Tongtian, in order to survive. He wishes Deng Chanyu luck in this battle, as he hands him his panther and magic staff. The local woman immediately brings him to his wits, with a frying pan after the elderly man attempts to yell something offensive after her. While Deng Chanyu smuggles in a scroll to put an end to the evil, Lord Tongtian prepares to burn the city to the ground. However, old man Jiang Ya's squad refuses to back down. Nezha dies as a result of the Lord's anger. After becoming even more enraged after realizing this, he collapses while burning brightly. Every single other warrior also finds themselves on the ground, close to the altar, and in the path of magical daggers. The elderly guy is confident that nobody can stop him at this point, but Nezha, who has attained immortality, aids his pals by conjuring an army of such heroes. The immortals join their magical spears to form a powerful dome that surrounds the old man and obliterates all of his warriors. Deng Chanyu finally succeeds in sealing the book and shutting the gates of heaven. At this point, now secure, the citizens may enjoy the clear skies and give thanks to their heroes for handing the scroll to their instructor, while pledging to remain vigilant. Emperor Zhou has a decrease in happiness at the same time since he loses everything. After losing the power struggle, he will never be aware that Jiang Ziya has signed a friendship treaty, ending the hostility between humans and immortals in his country. The end. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it, to motivate me to bring you more stories like this.